Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on the 13th of March, 2022. We are blessed to have Bobbie Wilson here to provide us with a talk and meditation, and Christina Hildebrandt and her harp Hester to provide us with music. So we'll start with Christina.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you, Christina. That was beautiful. And it's at this time that we go into prayer by taking a breath together. Beloved presence, everywhere present, we gather today to share joy and love, wisdom, compassion, all of the divine powers available to us at any time. Ukraine and Ukrainians are in our hearts and on our minds today. Acknowledging their suffering, we feel such deep compassion for them. And individually, we pay attention to any calling to support them in any way. Together, we know one way is through prayer. And so in this moment, we have silence in which we hold them, seeing them bathed in divine light and love. Seeing them infused with courage and knowing they come together as a country and as a people. And for all our own individual gifts, we thank you. And our gifts as a community, we thank you. And so it is. We'll have more music from Christina.
So last night, I was looking at a newly received harp time journal that I get like once a month or once every 3 months or something. And it has a Ukrainian lullaby in it, which was by design, I'm sure. So I thought I would play that for you in the spirit of providing some solace for those of us whose hearts are with the Ukrainian people and to honor their heritage.
Thank you, Christina, for that comfort. So let us open our hearts and minds to Bobbie. Bobbie, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay, here I am. I was just wishing everyone a good early daylight savings morning. And thank you for coming. And now I've just lost my page. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. So it's interesting how this talk came to me. It came to me in kind of pieces. And I think it's come together, but bear with me if you feel it's a little disjointed. I think Spirit will say what it wants to say. But I've been working lately with the energy of desire. And so that is what I am called to talk about a little bit in this talk, along with other things. But it's interesting, the energy of desire, when you actually separate it from the object of desire, what comes up. And so we'll do a little meditation later to help us do that. But for right now, let's dive in. So I call this talk, How Do I Show Up? How do I show up for whatever life brings to me? The quote from Marianne Williamson, everything we do is either love or a call for love. It's a very powerful quote because it actually says there is nothing else but love, or the desire for love. So with that in mind, let's look at what the world gives us today to work with. Lots of calls for love. And when you read the paper or see the news or hear from people who are affected by the Ukraine situation or other areas in the world that are in stress, do you feel the pull to help or fix or somehow be involved in the messy world that we see today? I know I do. What is it that propels us to go out and do? What is it that determines what we do? What actions we take? To start, let's take a look at our essential shared humanity for a moment. Our source, where we came from. We are cosmic creations. We are birthed out of movement. What I mean by that is we are never still. We never were still in this world. Let's use the metaphor of the Big Bang to give us a context for our position in the universe. The Big Bang shot all beingness out of a point. Behind that point, we cannot fathom. Behind that point is beyond space and time. But if we can use the Big Bang metaphor, if that story holds true, from that point on, we are propelled with the stuff of the cosmos at an ever-increasing rate away from our point of origin, away from source. We are billions of sentient beings clinging to a relatively tiny bit of matter called Earth. The Earth spins and we spin with it. Our galaxy moves out away from billions of other galaxies and we move with it. Everything is moving fast, far. This is the environment, the context of our human existence. This is the universe's desire for life. It is no wonder then that we feel the pull of this desire energy to act. We're already moving. It is our nature to move, to do, to be propelled by this energy, the energy we call desire. All life lives and moves in the energy of desire. Think about it. Without desire, we become apathetic, catatonic, dead. Desire motivates us to feed ourselves, to form relationships, to create, to build, to love. It also moves us to fight, to flee, to hate, to destroy, and to fear. We can define desire as a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Now, many studies and theories exist about desire. It's been studied and tested in psychology and science. Almost all religions have weighed in on desire. In some religions, all desires are outright rejected as a negative influence on our well-being. In Buddhism, for example, the second noble truth states that desiring is the cause of all suffering. A related doctrine is also found in the Hindu tradition of karma yoga, which recommends that we act without a desire for the fruits of our actions. That's an important sentence there. Without a desire for the fruits of our actions. And then finally, other strands of religions identify bad desires for worldly things and separate them from higher or good desires for the closeness or oneness with God. So there's a judgment aspect that some of us have, and some religions have, in dealing with desire. And even in Christianity, we have the doctrine of the 7 deadly sins, whereas a desire for God is explicitly encouraged. So there's a separation there, good desires, bad desires. But notice one thing. When we talk about desire, we ordinarily talk about the object of our desire, not the energy of our desire. We talk about what we want, or what we want to see happen or not happen, what we need to change. In its pure form, desire is merely life force energy. There is no good or bad associated with the energy itself. But when that desire energy is focused on an object, something that is wanted, then we tend to judge the desire for an object or situation as good or bad. We judge the object of desire. Do we want peace? Good. Do we want war? Bad. Do I want that piece of chocolate? Bad. Do I want to become closer to God? Good. So see the judgment piece in there. And desire energy becomes all wrapped up in my beliefs about what the desire is focused on. And we focus on what we want. We rarely separate the object of our desires from the desire energy itself. So it's no wonder that we have mixed feelings about our desires. We swim in the cosmic energy of desire and feel pulled apart by competing beliefs about what we think we desire. We are quick to link our desire energy to something in the physical world or something in ourselves. We think that by getting something we want or fixing something we judge to be broken, we will create peace and happiness. We will contribute to ending suffering. And it's true that we can do this, but the key is how we show up. What do I mean by how we show up? Remember that we are both human and divine. We are mind, body, and spirit. When we are distressed by what we perceive in the world or in ourselves, our mind begins spinning to look for remedies. It will latch on to something we have experienced or have read or heard about. It only knows what's in its data banks. It only knows experiences. It only knows perceptions, what it's taken in through its senses. So the mind will look outside or in its data bank for a recipe, a leader, or a belief system that promises to have the answers. And our instinct is to latch onto one of these outside remedies, our human instinct, and follow our desire energy toward that outside object, that outside remedy. Remember that desire energy is active. It moves to attain what we think we want. We then act to get the object of our desire. So, for example, this morning, as I read about the situation in the Ukraine, I felt grief and sadness. My mind goes into a search mode because I want to see some justice done. And if I'm honest, I want to not feel the grief and sadness. So I review all the ways that I think are available to me to remedy the situation. I can write letters, I can demonstrate, contribute funds to causes that will help. I can pray, I can meditate, and on and on. I am riding desire to latch on to perceived solutions to the Ukraine situation. But notice one thing. These are all solutions that I know about, that my mind knows about. Now, here's a caveat. It's not wrong to look outside and see the available options, and it's not wrong to follow desire to attain them. That is not wrong. But you will notice in the example, I used only my human experience, mind and body, to guide me. What a limited approach that is. If something is not in my experience or knowledge, it will not be in the mix of options that I think are available to me. In my example, I have shown up as my limited human self. What about the rest of me? How do I show up as fully human and fully divine? How do I embody Unity's 5 principles and our mission statement? If I try and show up just out of my mind, out of what I think, out of my ideas, out of my humanness, those principles are pretty impossible for any individual human to live up to 100%. Let's go through the 5 principles and let's just take a look. God is good. That's good. We can latch onto that one. God is absolute good and everywhere present. There is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. Okay, I think I believe that, but in practice, do I act like I believe it? From my human perspective, not all the time. God is the source and creator of all. Of all. There is no other enduring power. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. And these are all taken from the Bible, by the way. That biblical reference is Deuteronomy 6, 4, and 5. Second unity principle. People are good. Sounds nice. Since humans are made in the image of God, they have a spark of divinity within them and therefore are inherently good also. Okay, I think I can hang on with that one. Our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. Ooh, this becomes a little trickier. Do I really believe I am inherently good? This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus, the Christ. We are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. My human mind goes, really? I got to stretch to get there from my human perspective. And the biblical reference for the second principle is John 14:20. Third unity principle. Thoughts create experiences. Human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thoughts. We are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking. Yes, of course, we can see that, can't we? If we think negative thoughts, if we think I can't, or I don't want to, or it can't be happening, or all of those things that seem to put obstacles in the way of our moving forward energy, then we will create our experiences as staying stuck, not going anywhere, not moving. The biblical reference for the third principle is Galatians 6:7. Fourth principle, prayer is connection. Prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I can relate to that. There is power in affirmative prayer, which we believe increases our connection to God. So prayer is connection, because prayer is when we sit in silence and allow a communication to go between God and us. Prayer is our soul meeting the soul of the universe. The biblical reference for that is Matthew 5:37 and Matthew 6:6. And finally, the fifth principle in unity is action is needed. Knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, is not enough. A person must live the truth that he or she knows. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live in the truth we know. Knowledge of these spiritual truths is not enough. We must live them. There's two things to say about this principle. What we know is limited in our human mind. What we understand is limited in our human mind. In order to know and understand the laws of life, we have to invoke the divine in us. We have to sit with our spirit, our soul. And then we can live with that truth. And we can live it with the courage and willingness and conviction of a committed soul, committed spirit. So the biblical reference for the action principle is James 2:14-18. And finally, I want to reference Unity's mission statement, our Longmont mission statement, which is, we experience deep spiritual truths by courageously acknowledging God in all. Two key words here, experience, well, lots of key words, experience and courage. We have experience by living and doing. And it takes courage to acknowledge the God in all. It takes real courage to see God in some of the people we would like to condemn. It takes real courage to see God in a bully. How do we know these things? How do we show up as the embodiment of this knowledge and these principles? How is it possible for us to uphold these principles in a world that seems to be made up of bullies, victims, unfairness, corruption, injustice, and horror? Our light seems to pale in the darkness that we perceive. It seems like we are making no progress in bringing light to the world sometimes. At least that is what our mind tells us, because the mind doesn't hold the answer. The mind looks out and perceives no hope because it does not have the answers. But there is hope. There is the truth of oneness, and to see it, we must use our spiritual eyes, not our physical ones. We must use our spiritual mind, not our human one. We must allow ourselves to take us to the place where oneness exists, where we can experience oneness, to the seat of the soul. There we find the stillness, the quiet, the compassion, the ever-present and all-consuming love to be and act in our spirit. And it is a natural and easy choice to go there, for that place is within each of us. It's not out there. It's here. And we can get still and open to the presence of light, open to spirit, to God, just by deciding to. Let's go back to the beginning metaphor of the Big Bang, the explosion of oneness into the infinite aspects of God, the cosmos, and to see and experience God in all its fullness. That's what the Big Bang was. God wanting to see himself, itself. But right before that Big Bang, right before the explosion, that point where all is one, there is oneness. Consider this, we are living that explosion with every thought, idea, and action. And we can choose at any time to experience the oneness and presence of God. In other words, the Big Bang is continuously happening as we create our thoughts and our ideas and our actions. And we can choose at any time to experience the oneness and presence of God. It is obvious in the stillness. It is obvious in the light of awareness. When we sit still and feel the core of our being, when we experience that stillness and that quiet and that presence, we can actually see the arising of desire in our own beings. If we are still, we can feel the mind, the energy of that desire in its frenetic reaching and grasping energy. It's not bad. It's just, that's the desire of life. It's everywhere. It's a huge energy. And as we become intimate with the desire energy, we can let the presence show us how to use it and to show up in the world. Presence can use this huge, impossibly grand desire energy to show us the God in all, if that's what we want. If we can use that energy, if our goal is to see the God in all, we can make that our true desire. We can make that the true object of our desire. Let me see the God in all. It takes courage to let go of the mind's familiar ideas and let presence, let God fill our mind, body, and humanity with our spirit. To act and be in unity with our true nature takes courage. Now, don't make any assumptions about what that might look like, what our actions might be. We could be guided to do sweet and kind things, which feel very safe to us often. But we could also be guided to do chaotic and things that might look destructive to our physical eyes. Don't make any assumptions about what God wants. Let it be guided, let it be guidance. But do pay attention to how you see each and every person and being. That's the key. If I look at a person and judge them, if I look at a person and don't see any divinity, don't see any worthwhile core, pay attention to that, Bobbie, because you're not seeing with your spiritual eyes. And when that happens, I can choose to go to the still place inside. And before succumbing to the powerful pull of desire, I can be in the stillness and ask to see with Christ's eyes. They are my true eyes, and they are your true eyes too. In Matthew 6:22, it says, the eye is the lamp of the body. So then if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. And then this little poem from Mary Oliver. I go down to the shore in the morning, and depending on the hour, the waves are rolling in or moving out. And I say, oh, I am miserable. What should I do? And the sea says in its lovely voice, excuse me, I have work to do. And so it is. Let us now just close our eyes briefly if we can. And let's see if we can get into that still, quiet place before the urge of desire to go out and get lunch, to do whatever needs to be done in the house, to read whatever we need to read, to be wherever we need to be. Before all those thoughts come in, let's just sit quietly with our eyes shut and allow the body just to relax, because in this moment, nothing needs doing except listening to the quiet and becoming aware of the presence of spirit. And so let us just go down into the depths of our being, down past the head, down through the heart, down into the gut, down into the core of our being, which exists about 3 fingers below the navel physically. Put our attention there and let us be in the stillness. And let us fill up with the presence of God. And let us know that with that presence, we have all the power of God's desire energy to accomplish what God wants done. And what she wants done is the light of the world, is the saving of the world, is the beingness of all, is the divinity of all, is the oneness. We can see in the world all the aspects of God. Let's help her see them. And so it is. Bring yourselves back now. When you're ready, let your eyes open. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Hello, God, I see you.
Mhm.
Here you all are. Beautiful.
Thank you, Bobbie, for that brilliant talk and sweet meditation. And we will hear from Christina.
Let's see what Hester comes up with as she channels the energy of God.
Thank you. So let us go into our donation of love and light, again by taking a breath, being aware of our bodies, our breath, increasingly aware of our sacred heart. And we notice the movement of beingness expands. We perceive it as love and light and know it is being shared with the world. We experience human sensations and divine knowledge. And we have the wisdom to recognize that as we move through our lives, this love and light is always shared with those we encounter and those far away. And taking a breath, we express our gratitude. And so it is. And we're finished with music.